If only 21% of your people are truly engaged, your red tape is already too expensive.
You know, there's this invisible force that's just draining the life out of businesses everywhere. It's not some new competitor or a dip in the market. Nope, it's something inside the walls, a kind of quiet friction that just grinds everything to a halt. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real cost of this red tape and talk about a super clear way to get rid of it for good.
So, does this sound familiar? Your managers are just completely burnt out, stuck in endless meetings. Your HR team is playing whack-a-mole with problems, and all the while, your best people, they're slowly, quietly checking out. This isn't just a rough quarter, you know? It's a symptom of a much deeper issue, and it comes with an absolutely massive price tag.
Yeah. Take a look at that number. That is the estimated global cost of lost productivity, all because of low employee engagement. We're talking nearly $9 trillion. That is a staggering amount of human potential, of economic value, just buried under confusing rules and zero clarity. So yeah, the stakes for fixing this, they couldn't be higher.
Okay, so if we're going to solve this thing, we've got to know what we're actually fighting. What exactly is this enemy we call red tape?
This is the key right here. We are not just talking about filling out forms in triplicate anymore. Red tape today is anything that creates drag. It's all those extra layers of approval, the fuzzy lines of who owns what, and yeah, the endless meetings that literally suck the energy right out of the room. And this quote, wow, it just nails it. Bureaucracy isn't something companies actively choose. It's what creeps in by default when you don't have clear goals, when roles are muddy, and when priorities are a mess. It's basically the ghost in the machine when there's no simple, visible plan.
And to put a number on that, management guru Gary Hamel figures that all this extra bureaucracy costs the U.S. economy over $3 trillion a year. That's like 17% of the entire GDP. But what's really fascinating is seeing how this huge, abstract problem actually shows up in a real company, day to day.
So let's make this real. Let's talk about Anna. She's an HR director who is living and breathing this bureaucratic nightmare every single day.
I mean, just look at her world. Performance management was a total mess of different spreadsheets, which of course led to a review process that felt slow and unfair to everybody. And the result? Engagement scores were flatlining, her best people were heading for the door, and her leadership team was basically losing half their work week to meetings. Sound familiar to anyone?
And Anna's leaders weren't just imagining it. It turns out that over 70% of senior managers feel that most meetings are a complete waste of time. It is a huge shared frustration. And Anna, seeing this wall of inefficiency, just knew something had to give.
And this is where the story really takes a turn. Anna found a totally new way of thinking. It wasn't about adding more process, but about radically simplifying everything. And this whole strategy was driven by a group called M360 Leader.
And this is the game changer right here. That first conversation wasn't, hey, how do we fix the performance review form? No way. It was a simple, way more powerful question. What is the one objective that if you hit it would change everything for your customers? See that? They shifted the entire focus from internal paperwork to external impact.
And out of that one conversation, they built this beautiful, simple three-part strategy. It all started with the leaders themselves, getting their own house in order. Then, they completely redesigned performance conversations to actually be, human. And finally, they went after the biggest time vampire of all, the meeting.
But look, a strategy is just a nice idea on a slide if you can't actually make it happen, right? So how did they bring this all to life? They used a specific set of tools that were built for clarity, not for creating more complexity.
This table just lays it out so perfectly. Look at this. The total chaos of random Excel files, replaced by one clear, visible scoreboard for every team. That horrible once-a-year review? Gone. Replaced by short, regular check-ins. Meetings that just dragged on. They became shorter, and get this, cost-aware. And that classic problem of new habits never sticking? They replaced it with a system to track and celebrate tiny wins. For every piece of red tape, there was a simple, elegant countermove.
Let's just zoom in on performance reviews for a second, because the shift here is just massive. It goes from this heavy, bureaucratic ritual that everybody hates to just a series of ongoing conversations designed to help people win. No more big, scary surprises, just constant talk about what's going well and what's getting in the way.
And this quote really explains the why behind all of it. When your systems are too complicated, people get scared. They're afraid to make a mistake.
But a simple, clear system doesn't box people in. It actually gives them confidence. It gives them permission to take action, to be courageous. It's about activating your people, not controlling them.
And you gotta love the genius of their meeting tool. By putting a real-time cost calculator right there on the screen, based on the salaries in the room, it forces everyone to ask one powerful question. Is this conversation worth what we're spending on it right now? It just completely changes the entire dynamic of a meeting.
So, after all these changes, the big question is, what was the actual payoff? Did it work for Anna and her company? Let's take a look at the results.
Well, check this out. In just 6 months, the impact was totally tangible. Decisions on big projects were happening way faster. People actually knew what they were responsible for. Conversations got more honest and happened more often. And best of all, leaders got a huge chunk of their week back. And those engagement scores, they started to tick up.
So what this all comes down to is that a no red tape culture isn't some magic trick. It's a series of very deliberate choices made by leaders. It's the choice to demand clear commitments instead of vague hopes. It's choosing simple frameworks that people can actually use over complex policies nobody reads. And it's choosing to build your culture on trust and visibility, not on control and paperwork.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question for every single leader watching this. Take a really hard look at your own organization. Are your systems actually designed to empower your people, to unleash their talent, or have your people just become servants to the systems themselves? Because the answer to that question, well, it changes absolutely everything.